Right now we are in Aible Sense where we can evaluate a data set. I could connect to various kinds of data sources. Here I'm connecting to Salesforce, and let's say I just grab the opportunity object. I can also tell it whether I want to evaluate a specific outcome. So let's say is1 is the outcome here, and I'm going to choose that as the outcome. When I hit this import table thing, this will go to my BigQuery account. So the end customer's BigQuery account, not something controlled by Aible. Now we find that this data readiness is very high because Aible has gone in and looked at the various variables and figured out that things like stage name, probability, forecast category name, even expected revenue to some extent are directly related to is1. So I'm just going to refresh this and let Aible go in and figure out what variables and variable combinations are appropriate in this data set. Now what you find is that Aible's data readiness score has actually come down, but it is green now because Aible is saying this is actually a data that you can do something with. You're not just gonna hear that stage name helps you predict whether or not you have won. It also has done a lot of data quality checks that you can go in and see. It would have done certain transformations. You can automatically create features. You can also go in and look at transformations that you want to do, like I might want to filter some rows, I might want to create some derived fields, I might want to create kind of conditional fields, modify column names, extract, and all of these things are actually pushed down to BigQuery for the actual transformations. Let's also take a look at a different data set. So for example, this is the bank lending data set where the outcome is whether or not the loan was approved. What you'll find is here there are no transforms here, but I can go in and apply a data set, a transformation for a different data set. So in this case, it's excluding certain variables, it's creating some derived variables, creates a if then else rule, but all of this got done completely automatically. And if we wanted to see the generated query, we can click a button and see what would be the query that would go into BigQuery to actually execute the transforms that it is suggesting. Now over here, Aible shows you what variables and variable combinations are really important in this data set. So of course, this being a banking data set, credit score is really important. The arc is the importance of the variable. Chords across are the importance of the combinations. So after credit score, tenure is important, ethnicity is important, and that worries me because in a banking data set, ethnicity shouldn't show up as being important. Let's go in and see a little more about what is going on here. And right now we are shifting over to our augmented analytics capability called Aible Explore. I of course want to understand whether loan approved is true. Now there are a little over 16,000 possible charts in this data set. So think of it as every drill down chart you could draw, every pivot you could draw, and the software has already automatically done all of them for me. We are in a powerful view, which is more of a mind map, and the software comes in and tells me, hey, take a look at these patterns. I'm gonna see what's going on here. Channel is kind of interesting to me. Let me click into it, and what I find is when I'm looking at channel, Aible is suggesting I look at channel when age is young, and this automatic text is generated telling me that I should be looking at digital display, and we find that for young people, digital display really does not work. It might also show me a pivot. So instead of looking at age when channel is direct mail, if I go to this pattern, it's now pointing out that young people, direct mail is working really well, but for middle age and senior citizens, it is not. Again, remember that all these charts were identified by Aible, and I can treat these like mind maps and look at them however I wish. But instead of looking at it this way, I can also go straight to a dashboard view. Now this is an automatically generated dashboard that I got to without any effort on my part. It's telling me the credit score charts, it's showing me the tenure charts, and actually showing me that there's a difference in tenure in relation to channel, direct mail, etc. I am intrigued by this ethnicity thing, and let's say I just want to understand what is going on with ethnicity. I go in and search to ethnicity, and now the software is showing me every chart that I should be looking at if I'm intrigued by ethnicity. Now this is not just a question of the chart of ethnicity, which is actually in almost the third page of what it's telling me. This is about looking at all of the things that matter. And right now I'm looking at all ethnicities. If I took out ethnicity other, the order of the charts changed because the products with bank chart actually became more interesting, because for Hispanics that behavior is very different than for other groups. Just go ahead and export this out to Looker, because maybe I'm very interested in seeing how Looker would deal with this. And the Looker dashboard is being generated along with all the LookML work that has to be done. So remember, we had gotten this data straight from an original source. So Aible set up the LookML stuff for this. On the right hand side, you actually have Aible embedded inside Looker as a HTML pane. On the left hand side, you have native Looker. Just going to take a few seconds because we are auto-generating this. And by the way, just to show you that, and all of the text explanations, what you should be looking at, all of that has also been pushed out. You can go in and see that this is real Looker, because I'm right now exploring from here. The Looker ML stuff is there. I can also still search. So let's say I want to look at what is going on with young people, and I want to see the most interesting charts for young people. Aible is automatically generating the most important charts when it comes to looking at young people and throwing it out to my Looker dashboard. I can see them in Aible or I can see them in Looker. The entire point here is it's an interaction back and forth where both pieces work. The same kind of thing we have integrated in with Google Sheets. So right now I'm in Google Sheets and I can just say, hey, analyze this data set. And the data will move into BigQuery for analysis if it wasn't already in BigQuery. And of course, if we point this to all of Google's capabilities of seeing data sets through Sheets, we could leverage all of that. And once this is done and it's evaluated the stuff, I can go in and explore insights just like we did before. And now if I click into something, so let's say I'm looking at age, and the software is automatically going to go in and show me the most interesting patterns related to age, and give me the narrative text of what I should look at. And it's finding the things like the direct mail pattern that we saw before, and the pages of these patterns right up there. And if I click into something else like annual income range, again, I'm going to get a different set of charts right here. So what we've done is we have gone from Sheets into Aible, did the augmented analytics and put it back inside Sheets. And this could of course be done for slides, etc. as well. Finally, let's take a look at how we can create models in Aible. I'm still with that same bank lending data set, but before I do anything, I'm going to choose a blueprint. Though Aible itself is horizontal, we have these things called blueprints that dial in the language and the best practices to a specific use case. Now you can see that the language is in the language of applications to review, applications that are funded loans, etc. And of course, what I want to predict is whether loan approved is yes. That's all I'm going to do. The software is going to start creating the models for me. And this is going to take a few seconds, but I'll let you watch what happens here. Now, one of the important things in Aible is the model training happens serverless. We are working to figure out when to use Vertex AI if the data set is really large, and we can't do it in the serverless way that we do. But if the data set is small enough so that we can do this in serverless, it will happen in serverless. Or if it is big enough, we are going to push out through BigQuery ML into Vertex to do the bigger data sets. Now, another important thing here is, though we did model training, we didn't tell it whether or not we want to train for precision, recall, log loss, or anything of that sort. The way Aible works is very different in the sense that in Aible, we tell the system what is it that we are trying to optimize for. So we are trying to optimize for lending revenue. We are trying to constrain review effort. We tell it what happens if a prediction is correct, what happens if the prediction is wrong. Here we are ignoring these other factors such as false negative and true negative. But the point is, this is definable by the customer, and we have hundreds of such blueprints right now. And you'll see that already 174 models have completed. We have sent about 65 cents on this right now. And what the software is already telling me is it can find me a strategy where I can make more money. Basically, my profit can go up by 6.7 million. But the way it's doing that is by having me review far fewer applications. From a bank perspective, that may not be appropriate because I might not want to stop looking at 3/4 of my loans because my customers would be very upset if I do that. So I can go in and change this. I can say, well, what if I reviewed the same number of loans? It can still increase my profit by 2.8, but the revenue goes up a lot more. I can also go set a goal saying, hey, what if I want to double my revenue? Is that possible? And the system will show me how to double the revenue. And it does say I will have to increase my revenue effort if I want to double the revenue. What Aible is doing is taking my feedback in the language of business and explaining back the impact of the AI in the language of business. The other thing it's going to do is if I go in and I'm worried about fairness concerns, so these, if you can see that we are going to end up with different amount of effort. So for Black group, we are looking at 12% of the applications, but for Hispanic, we are looking at 8%. Are we being fair? Because remember, ethnicity had shown up as a factor. So right now I don't have any equality constraints, but I could go in and define equality as an equal rejection rate. And the moment we do that, my allocation of effort changes, and I come in and see that my lending revenue and my net profit will change if I do that from when I had no equality constraints. Or I could define this in a more tighter way. Right now we are saying anything within 1% is equal. What if I said it has to be within 0.5% to be equal? And it can do that, but you'll notice again the allocation of effort and the revenue and the profit changed. So now we are working far fewer applications because it's trying to find the most economically efficient way to achieve our fairness goal. I could choose a different definition of fairness. This is the equal funding rate, so equal approval rate. And the system says, I can't really resolve to that. But if I give it a different target, just get it within 5% of each other, it can pull that off. So fundamentally what is happening here is fairness in our world is just another constraint that you can give to the system, and the system enables that fairness. These models can be deployed very easily, they can be monitored very easily, but that's a discussion for another day.